Hey guys, Mike here. So today we're going to talk about Palantir stock and SOFI stock news. And we're going to start off with Palantir and two big moves they made this week, which I think will be huge for the company's future, as well as going to the chart and show you exactly what's happening and how this company respects those support and resistance levels I pointed out before. And then we'll talk about SOFI and a story that's gaining traction. I've seen it in multiple sources now. And if this were to happen, and it wouldn't surprise me if it does, because I do like SOFI's CEO, that it would be big for the company, okay? And then we'll go into the chart and I'll show you guys exactly why SOFI sold off last week, why it might continue to sell off or go higher. And I think it makes you feel a little better when we look at the macro picture and what's happening all around to the fintech industry right now. And before we get started, I do want to say, if you want to sign up for the Daily Upside newsletter, it's 100% free. Hit that link down there below. Put your email address, hit sign up. That is it. It's 100% free, guys. You'll get news you'll see nowhere else in your inbox almost every morning. And if you're a news junkie like me and you like to keep up with the financial sector and things like that, not only in the United States but around the world, then you'll enjoy this newsletter. So hit the link down below. Sign up, okay, guys? And so what we're going to start off with before we get into Palantir and SOFI is what's going to drive these stocks in one direction or the other starting next week. And so obviously, guys, the Cpi data came out Friday, and this is what is going to absolutely drive all growth stocks, especially Palantir and SOFI. You see it at 6.8%. We have not seen that since 1982 when it was coming down, okay? And you can see over to the right, we are heading up. It looks like a vertical wall, basically, at this point in time. And so the big fear is Papa J. Powell speaks this week coming up, and they've already alluded to, obviously, that they're going to increase or speed up the Fed tapering, maybe have to raise interest rates in 2022. And so everybody will be tuned in on that this week. And so, if he comes out and says we're going to have to speed up even more since inflation continues to rise, and as you saw, shockingly, after I've been saying it for months, he said, oh, yeah, we're going to retire the transitory word, which means temporary, all of a sudden, like it's never been happening, and everybody hadn't been calling for him to do that. And now we're going to have to increase or speed up the tapering process. And so we're going to see if he'll lose that and if they're going to do even more faster because of this increase here. And so, that's a big one. That's going to affect all growth stocks. So that will affect Palantir and SOFI alike. And so it's going to be an interesting week this week anyway to see how the institutions handle this. Are they going to kind of wait for that to come out, or are they going to go ahead and start driving this market up just like you saw them at the beginning of last week? And so either way, I think it's going to be a volatile week for all stocks, especially growth stocks, because obviously if they keep raising interest rates, that's what everybody's scared about. And so let's go ahead. Plus, if they obviously stop buying bonds or decrease the amount, that's less liquidity in the market, okay? And so that's the big thing to look at coming this week for all growth stocks, okay? So let's go ahead and get into Palantir stock chart. And you can see, obviously, it's been in this nice downtrend for quite a while now. Since November 9th. You can see it bounced perfectly off that $18 support level as we discussed on the 3rd to see if it would. And then, of course, it sold off once we started getting into the Fed stuff coming out with CPI and all that good stuff. And so did pretty much all growth stocks at that point in time. So nice volatile week. I expect another one ahead, like I said. The big thing is, come out Monday. Is it going to start going up to the next resistant level, which is 21? Are we going to go back down to 18 and bounce off it again? It looks like we're trying to reverse this trend right here. So we're going to have to see if we can have a nice 11% rise up to that $21 resistance level. And usually when it hits it, it'll sit there and bounce off of it and consolidate if it does. And some of the big data that came out this week was Palantir is on a mission to seduce France's startups. And if you look right here, I think this is a big move for them. On Thursday, the company announced a partnership with Station F, the world's biggest startup incubator based in Paris. The partnership will offer Europe's startups access to its Foundry for Builders initiative, which will grant them access to Palantir's expertise and data. It'll work in the form of a subscription at a preferential rate. And it goes on to say the past initiative has been in the works for the past year, and some 20 startups are benefiting from this service across a variety of sectors such as healthcare, fintech, blockchain, and renewables. The partnership will be in place for a year, but Palantir hopes to extend it. Then the other big one was coming out of Korea. U.S. Palantir invests in Hyundai Oil Bank. And this goes on to say that Palantir Technologies basically picked up about $20 million in stock from this company. And the company is planning on pursuing an IPO early next year. It plans to apply to the Korea Exchange for a preliminary examination within this year. This company and Palantir plan to build a long-term cooperative relationship with Palantir's investment in the HHIC affiliate. And what they're doing is using Palantir to build a big data platform, which expects to accelerate its digital transformation in all of its business areas, including smart factories. And a couple of reasons Palantir actually invested in this company was not just because it's an oil refining business, but really because of the new businesses that they're coming out with, such as petrochemicals and hydrogen. And so it's no different than what they're doing over here in America with Foundry for builders. And so now this is in France. Remember, this is one of their biggest customers across the world. And so, I think this is big time. They're getting in on the ground up. Obviously, once again, investing in a company in Korea, try to help them. And so remember, they've helped BP, other oil refinery companies as well. And so this is nothing new. They're just spreading out on a global scale, which I'm glad to see. And so, the other one really is, and a couple others actually, is the crypto market of which they're getting into. And I think this is one of the biggest chances for them to make a boatload of money in the growing crypto world. And if you remember, they launched Foundry for Crypto just a few weeks ago, and smart contracts seem to be a huge opportunity for this company. And so, they'll play a role in the facilitation of data within the smart contracts or removing the cost of working with third networks and banks. And for those who don't know, Palantir has an investment and a customer in BlackSky. And what BlackSky does is they monitor data and information that can only be processed through imagery and is the custodian of monitoring these actions and generating these actions into data points so that they can inform smart contracts as to whether or not these contracts was satisfied. And not only are smart contracts a big opportunity for them in the crypto space, but what do people always worry about? You hear the government talk about, which is money laundering through crypto, through the metaverse, things of this nature. Well, for those who don't know, Palantir has been used for a long time to fight money laundering. And not only do they do money laundering, you're talking about they've been involved with the IRS since 2013 and have earned like $20 million over the last 12 months in contracts. As you can see, number 4 right there on the awarded contracts list. And so if you thought you were going to get away with not reporting your crypto gains, you're wrong, because the IRS launched this year in May something called Operation Hidden Gem, which is an initiative to focus on taxpayers who don't report cryptocurrency gains. And what Palantir does, it enables the IRS with the solutions that decipher criminal financial schemes and analyzes a variety of data sources in real time. In the past, Palantir allowed the IRS to track the flows of funds or the flow of assets. For example, this is a big one, which, obviously just don't really, I don't do any business on the Cayman Islands. I wish I had that kind of money, but I don't. But for example, a lot of rich people do, and a lot of corrupt organizations do this. They'll transfer assets to a bank in the Cayman Islands and then withdraw the cash in the U.S. and use it as a down payment or something for a property. Obviously sell that, make the money, all that good stuff. Now the cash is clean, or they end up getting away with not paying taxes, all that good stuff. And so Palantir's deep analysis will connect this information that's siloed and present it to the IRS so they can handle the specific situations accordingly. You just saw that in that video. Based on Palantir's recent launch of Foundry for Crypto, Palantir could already be using its platform to provide real value for the U.S. government. And so I think it's just an abundance of opportunities for Palantir in the crypto sector, which I'm putting out a crypto video tomorrow, which you'll see why. And so, I think that's going to be huge for them. And that's just getting started. And so, the IRS is still trying to figure out ways and how to make sure people pay their taxes on crypto. So if you're planning on trying to not report yours, you might want to be careful on that, because they have definitely caught some people already. And so, the other thing back in the news this week, and it's been, always a big thing, I put it in the video, I think it was last week, the week before last, was all the shares that the executives are selling, which is weighing down on the stock. But the good news is that's actually shrinking dramatically, as you can see right here. And you can see this starts back in Q3 of 2020. And you can see the downtrend right there, and it's at all-time lows of Q4 right now. And you can see right here, this is the pie chart. The main person selling is Alexander Karp, right, the CEO, and everybody else is in the single digits right here. And I think what's important is to keep this in perspective and understand how many shares and options this guy actually has right here. I mean, you see back in 2009, he had 58 million options that were going to expire worthless if he didn't do them. 2011, 8 million more. And you go down the list, you see the millions of options these guys have built up. And if they don't exercise them, they just go worthless. You can see the expiration date on the right from those 2009 options for him. It was on December 3rd. That was the expiration date, so he had to exercise them. And the funny thing is, it doesn't seem to be bothering institutions, though, because as the stock price goes down, what have they been doing in December? Just loading up. They started increasing September, October, November, and December, as you can see. And even with all those shares and options he's exercised and sold, he still has millions of shares of Palantir, along with the other executives as well. They just been piling up and earning them for a long time. Remember, they just came public last year, and so now they get to exercise them. But you can see on that chart, it is dramatically decreasing, okay? And I think you will see it continue to decrease as they go forward. And so, a lot of good opportunities for Palantir. I like what they're doing in France, Korea, on the global scales. What I really like to see, commercial contracts. That's fantastic. That's what they're trying to grow. And they're playing the slow game. It's that simple, all right? Planting the seeds, seeing what grows. And not only that, getting them as customers, but also investing in these companies and getting to grow with them. And so let me know what you think down in the comments about Palantir, where you think it's going this week. So, the next one, let's go into SOFI and start off with the chart first. And of course, you see SOFI has been on that downtrend as well. And it came just like 15 cents from perfectly bouncing off the $14.24 support level there. And you see it did start to move up, broke through the $16 support level, and then of course it did what most growth stocks did and sold off right there on Thursday and Friday. But the good news is you look at the stochastic RSI on the hourly and it is way oversold, 2 hours oversold. And so good news is we probably will see a nice move up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday maybe. When I was talking about earlier, what we're going to do is add in FINX, which is the Global Fintech ETF. And so you can see this right here. SOFI is going to follow this, and you can see the whole ETF. When it sells off, SOFI sells off, and you can see it's been selling off for quite a while now. You see when it pops, but you also see when it goes down. And so, the whole fintech market right now, or sector, is in a negative way right now. You can see that with PayPal and Square and others. And the big story I was talking about, it seems to be gaining traction. I've seen this in multiple places, multiple weeks now. Most people know who Apex Clearing House is, but Apex Clearing, a provider of clearing and custody services to fintech firms, was originally minority owned by SOFI. The company, nicknamed the Fintech for Fintechs, has SOFI and a rooster of robo-advisors and retail trading apps as its customers. So SOFI actually owned almost 17% of them back in 2018, was actually going to try to acquire them. That failed, and so the company went public via the SPAC move is what they did. And you can see the revenue that they're making and things like that. But, if they have a reasonable multiple, like this is saying, excluding their recent crypto push, the price of the acquisition could be around $1.5 billion. Well, of course, what did SOFI just do? They raised $1.1 billion. They've already acquired Galileo, right? And there's no doubt they could pull this off. They definitely have the cash, and they can do the rest of it with stock to make that happen. And it would be a huge, huge acquisition for them to put in their technology platform operating segment of the company, along with Galileo, to absolutely drive this company's growth even faster and make them more profitable at a quicker rate. And of course, the other big thing to look at for 2022 is we're looking at, obviously, the federal student loan payments resume on February 1st. So you're talking anywhere from 25 to 50 million minimum to start coming through the doors for SOFI in revenue. And I think that's why you see institutions piling in December as the stock price goes down and just loading up even more, because they see the huge potential of what's going in 2022 with this company, with their growth in members, revenues, and all that. And don't forget they actually raised guidance for them. And so it should be a good fourth quarter and a really good 2022, assuming nothing crazy happens. And, you know, I looked everywhere I could for the bank charter about the lawsuit that's happening, and I found no news whatsoever on the gentleman that's suing Golden Pacific Bank Corp over this acquisition and everything, trying to call it basically illegal, and there's been no movement on that. Again, nothing on, you know, the bank charter. I looked everywhere. If you happen to know of something or a source, put it down at the bottom on either one of those stories, because that is huge for the company, and I'll continue to say that. I think everybody said that. And so, you know, let me know what you think about SOFI, where it's going. Again, I think those stocks will start to move up if the institutions ignore the CPI data, because they've already said they're not looking at how fast it's going up. They're trying to look at when it's going to start leveling off, and then when could it start to decrease, because remember, usually the markets are thinking 6 months ahead. And so again, a lot of things are going to depend on what Jay Powell says this week during the Fed meeting, things like that. So we'll see. You know, the markets have been really good at ignoring what's happening in the real world, because the bond market is just crap. And so people are putting it in the stock market. It's like the only game in town, really. And so we'll see what happens. Okay, so let me know what you think. And don't forget also, go ahead and hit that link down below. Sign up for the Daily Upside. Again, 100% free newsletter for you with stories I promise you will enjoy, because I do enjoy them every day myself. And I'll see you guys later.